Welcome back to KHI Press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eddie Law, and joining us today is a two-time NCAA D1 All-American wrestler, one of the busiest fighters in MMA today, headlining LFA 208 on Friday, May 9th in Santa Cruz, California, and part of the Bloodline Combat Sports family. This is Chris Mecate. How you doing, Chris?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good, good. I see the hair's coming back, dude. Like, you gonna let it go, or you gonna shave it again?
We'll see. We'll see. I might be one of the guys when I got back to training and I had my bald head. They're like, it gives Chama energy, dude. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I need some Chama energy in my life, so I might keep it short for a little bit. We'll see.
There you go. You ever get people complaining to you about like the short hair? Because like right now I have hair, but I usually shave it down just like you do, all the way down.
Yeah.
All the time for comfort. I'm in Arizona, dude, so it's hot.
Oh,
but
yeah.
people always complain that I give them like hair burn on their face because I like to do all that.
Of course. Well, I think people had more complaints when I had long hair and it would go in their mouth. So I think that's worse than the short hair. So I get less complaints.
There you go, man. Dude, hey, nasty knockout victory last time out, Shaheen Santana. How did it feel to grab that win in that fashion, dude?
That was fun. It was a good time, and then it was cool to me because I've been fighting, I think it was right before COVID, I made my pro debut, and then every fight since then has been, away, other people's hometowns, out of the state. So I was more excited just to have, friends and family there to watch me fight because I proved to myself and, everyone around me, I'm a road warrior. I get it on the road, no issue. But there is something cool when you hear people that yelling for you and stuff. And so, I mean, I love the knockout. I set it up. We talked about it in camp, pull on the jab overhand. But so that was cool for me to hit that. But I liked it more because, my loved ones a lot of them were right there watching. So that was cool to me. That was my first time since I've had a pro fight where I've had a local fight. They've all been on the road. So that was fun.
Yeah. So you faced a little adversity in that one, though, man. He caught you with a shot. I couldn't tell, honestly, if you slipped or you got hurt. I mean, you went right to your wrestling and everything, got yourself some time to, recover. But how hurt were you really?
I wasn't hurt. I wasn't hurt at all, to be honest, because, it was a flash. Because he caught me coming in with open stance. He went cross. I went lead hook. And he has a, 7-inch reach. So, he caught me on the chin. And then I was turning in to throw my right hand, and it caught me. It was just a button shot, So as soon as I hit, if you watch it back in slow motion or you just watch it back, as soon as my shoulder hits that ground, I'm up, and I was cognizant enough to where I didn't want to get kicked. So I would like dip my head, and then I hit right to my double leg just because I was underneath him. And then if you watch it after that, I got right to a takedown. I was throwing punches while I was on his leg. So it was more of a flash than anything. And then to the point where when I went back to the corner, I asked, I'm like, what did he hit me with? Because I didn't hurt, didn't feel anything. I thought he might have kicked me. And then, Cub and my striking coach, Austin, were like, don't worry about it. And I was like, no, I'm not worried. I'm like, I'm curious. What was it? I'm like, because I'd hit the ground. And then I saw it on the big screen play back. I'm like, oh, nice. Okay, back to focus. But no pain involved. It was a flash, just touched my chin on the right spot. But as soon as I hit, I was back up going.
No, you were right into it, right into the takedown, and you kept them down, basically take position that you wanted. But all that experience is, again, and from the outside looking in, it looked like you got hurt. Even the commentator was like, "Oh, he caught him," and I was like, "Stuff," So the visuals weren't awesome. So, but coming back, right, and then putting it on him to finish out with a knockout. That experience, putting that story together, how'd that feel at the end?
That felt good, and then it was even improved just on my end, where and I know it in myself, but to show others, and even my coaches were like, "Dude, the best thing was you got dropped, and when you came back, you didn't go into the second round thinking, okay, I got to take this guy down and." Ground and pound him. I'm like, I'm fine. I'll show you guys. I'm good. So I went on my feet, set up the knockout. So that was cool just to, prove to my coaches and then, maybe a little to myself like, hey, I got flashed, whatever, no big deal. I've made gains on my stand up and watch. Let me settle in and knock his ass out. So that's what I did.
No, I mean, when you came back out, dude, there was no fear of getting hit again. Like usually guys, like you said, when guys get hurt, like, oh, I got to do a takedown. No fear again. Hey, you got hit a couple of times. You're like, whatever, let's go.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's where probably honestly the deepest part was, or the best part if you're looking at it as an athlete coach was like, okay, you went back out and the fear didn't process. Like, oh, I have to take him down. I was like, no, he clipped me. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm registering everything. So that was probably the biggest takeaway from that.
There you go. Hey, dude, you are a busy man. And I mean, folks, go to this Tapology. You will see it. It's not like LFA. It's like LFA, A1 Combat, APFC, H Titans. Do you call these people or do they call you? Because it's like you never stop.
They call my management. My manager calls them, to be honest, because I like to almost, people joke like I'm a educated caveman where, I like to go and train and then, I teach as well. So between training, I go and teach and coach and I come back and I train at night. And so I try to minimize my my screen time. So I get a text from my management saying, "Hey, we got to fight in Boston. Dude's a UFC vet in his hometown," and I just thumbs it up, baby. Let's go do the damn thing. So like even the LFA one, I was in we spar at Bloodline. We spar our like hard sparring rounds are on Fridays, and we use the cage at the gym. And so I just got done doing cage rounds with I was helping Lehion, who was supposed to be the main event in the card, and Richie Machete, who just won the title 155. They were both on that LA card, and I got done doing rounds with both of them, and I got out of the cage, and then my manager was right there, and he's like, "What do you think about fighting LFA in 2 weeks?" And I was like, "All right, let's do it. Let's do it." So yeah, so that's how it happens, and that's how I got to be ready. That's why I don't really. I'll take a little break the week after the fight just to not be in the gym, just to be not just be indoors and training. I like just be more outside. But besides that week, I'm never not days off. I really don't take them.
Dude, you legitimately are a fighter. It's like anybody, anywhere, anytime. You don't turn anyone down. No,
and I mean honestly, if the levels I aspire to go, you better be ready to fight anyone. Next level. They don't. It's not. You don't have the choice. Whoever they show you, it's time to step up and go. So that's what I'm aiming for, at least in my head, where I see it. So I'm like, okay, dude, if you're afraid, if you can't handle this guy, then you're not even prepared for the next one. So in order to be prepared for the next one, we gotta it starts now. So that's how I see it mentally, at least how I portray it to myself.
There you go. We're definitely gonna talk about your team here in a minute, but first, you got another fight, man. May 9th, former title challenger Javier Reyes. How are you feeling physically and mentally coming into this one, and how do you like the matchup?
I'm feeling physically, mentally great. I've had it's the longest break I've had in a while because I fought, December 6th, and this is May 9th. So, that's the longest break, but I've used it to get better. And like I said, I don't take time off. Like I actually enjoy training and fighting and learning. So I've been improving a lot, and we're supposed to fight him a while ago. This year, but a few months before. And I know there's some visa issues and stuff. So I've kind of had him a little bit mentally in my head, and I'm sure he's had me as well. But so we've my coach and I were talking, like, we've honestly been in camp with him for a little bit, even though the fight got canceled because of his visa stuff. But I mentally was like, no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Me and him are both kind of at that level and at that spot, and we got to try to, go kill each other. So I've been mentally kind of preparing for this for a while, and physically as well. And, he fought my teammate, and I've watched him fight in LA. And, guys I've talked to who are aware of him or have fought him are like, he has a kind of chaotic pace that he doesn't stop. So, I'm hyper aware of it. And, I've watched his tape with my coaches, and we've tried to isolate our spots where I think I can go get the job done. So I've done my prep, but, he's a tough fight. He's a game dude. He's fought all over the world, literally. So, I respect it, and I respect him saying, yeah, let's do it. Come to California and get it on. So I got mad respect for him, but we're gonna get after it for sure.
You mentioned Lehion Douglas. Dougie, has he been pretty valuable in this camp for this one?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, Doug's one of my best training partners. We were one of the guys who when we go and do our grappling or MMA grappling at night. One of the guys who's a former UFC fighter, PFL fighter, a heavyweight. He kind of led the workout, and then so he was actually watching the rounds after. He was showing technique. He's like, all right, let's go live rounds, and he was watching, and it was me and Dougie. And then afterwards, he was like, oh my gosh, amazing rounds. Those are world-class rounds. I wish we recorded them. And I was like, dude, me and him do that 4 times a week. That's standard for me. But in my head, me and him have both talked. I'm like, man, you're like, I know those are good rounds. I'm pretty self-aware, and I train with a lot of guys. And I'm like, me and you are getting good work. So yeah, Leon's been not only just, obviously in the gym supportive, but, he can always pick his brain and his mind. He's a straight warrior. So, the way he approaches things, the mental warfare in the cage as well, picking his brain. He's got some good insights. So yeah, been using Doug a lot.
Yeah, so you mentioned Lehion. Machete just won the title. You got 2 champions in the room. You got Cup.
3. We got 25-pounder. We got Chapolin. He's our.
That's right, Chapolin. You're absolutely right. My bad, Chapolin. So you got 3 in there. Okay, 3.
Thanks for Chapolin.
Yeah. And you got Cub Swanson, Rafa Garcia, Dan Argueta. Yeah, you have a room. Danny Silva. Thank you, Danny Silva. Yeah. And dude, you got a room full of killers. That is an insane. No doubt. I mean, if the saying is true, right? Iron sharpens iron. Y'all sharp as hell.
No, I mean, and in a real way, because it is like that. And then Jacob Rosales, Badger Rosales is in there as well, and all those guys. Any time or if you need any sort of look or feel or strong or tall or fast or slow or tough. Check, 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 check. You know, we got it all in that room. And then it's one of those things where every guy is so unique and different to where even if you're feeling like you're on top or you're in the room and you're killing it, you switch with one other guy where you might have a little bit of weakness and that guy will exploit you. So, but like you said, that's the iron sharpens iron mentality. There's no one that's above all. Everyone's pushing each other all the time. And, you know, you need that energy, you know, to get better, period. Anytime you're stagnating or the top guy or, you know, the big fish, little pond, it tends to not go well after that. So, you know, I'm grateful for it all the time. I got to remind myself sometimes when I'm going into practice, maybe I'm a little tired and I'm like, dude, look at the room you get to go in. And, you know, it's not like a room where we go in and, you know, it's a gym, but none of us really know each other or kind of, you know, not know each other, but we're not really like friends. You know, we're pretty close. Mm-hmm. So it's not like a gym where you check in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and like, all right, see you. And then like, okay, never talk to a guy or dislike the guy. We're all pretty tight. We train together. We'll travel up with each other together, go to Vegas to watch each other's fights. So, you know, we're kind of like a crew. And so, you know, I call it the little SoCal, you know, little SoCal scrap pack kind of vibes where we're all buddies and we're all around the same weight and we're all pushing each other. And so, yeah, I love it, man. I love the room I'm in.
Yeah, I've got to talk to Richie. I've gotten to talk to Legion, and everyone echoes the same thing. It is a family of sorts because you guys are always together. And like someone fighting over here, they take a selfie at the end of the fight. Legion's in there, Cubs in there, Rob is in there. Sometimes you're in there. You know what I mean? Like you guys always
in that selfie, no doubt.
Yeah, it's honestly my favorite thing about Bloodline. Like you guys are legitimately like cool with each other at all times.
For sure. I mean, like you said, it's not like we're like a collective, almost like a unit. Mm-hmm. As opposed to a gym where you sign a waiver and you come in and, you know, do your 2 hours, clock in, clock out, you know, train together. You know, I was just at, you know, Legion's birthday party on Saturday and all the guys from the gym were there and, you know, we're hanging out. So, you know, it's one of those things. And Cubs even talked about it when we're actually, you know, buddies or comrades, you look out for each other in a different way as opposed to if you just saw each other for 2 hours and you're like, all right, I'm going to knock this guy's block off today just because I'm in a mood or I don't like him. It's, you know, we push each other and go hard and try to win, no doubt about it. But it's not out of malice. It's out of like, hey, and I know when I get good rounds with Doug and he learns something that I'm doing to him and then he's stopping it, that's only going to make me better and make my game up and vice versa. And with all the other guys, with Danny, with Mecate, with Badger, all the guys. So, yeah. And, you know, like I said, it's hard sometimes because you never get the drop on everyone. You're never the big dog in the room, but you know deep down that's exactly what you need if you want to be elite.
100%. Now, normally you're fighting featherweight. This fight's at lightweight, right?
No, it's at 150.
150, gotcha. So just
a catch weight 150. Gotcha. Yeah, it was a commission thing that halted the 45, so they made it 50.
Gotcha. All right, makes sense. All right, dude, you get this win. That's, you know, 5 in a row. You get some mic time after the win. I always ask these guys, you know, everyone this question. After this one, you get that mic, who or what are you calling for next?
I get hopefully, you know, a dominant finish victory. I'll call for hopefully the big boss in Las Vegas, you know, down in Las Vegas gets somehow a hold of it and goes, hey, we're going to give this guy a shot. That's who I'm going to call out, the big boss. Everyone knows who the big boss is.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, 2025 would be nuts for you guys. Richie's knocking on the door. I mean, he should be in. Legion's knocking on the door. He should be in. Like you said, dominant win this you know, next Friday. You should be in. Like you could have a room full of UFC guys that all came up together.
Yeah, you know, and there's plenty of rooms, you know, because people are talking. I'm like, no, don't get it twisted. There's plenty of gyms with world champs, you know, but coming up as one, rising, that's a little bit more rare. That's very rare. So normally, you know, anybody can handpick someone and then just throw them in a room together and then, you know, say they're a great coach because they have all these UFC guys. But did you develop them? Did you help them? Did you get them through losses? That's a whole, you know, and obviously, you know, that's a different game. That's a whole different mindset and a whole different camaraderie, I guess you would say.
There you go. All right, man. A few more questions here with little quick ones, and we'll have you on your way. Cool. Who's your biggest supporter in this journey so far in MMA?
Oh, in MMA, you know, it's got to be honestly my parents, my mom and dad, just because they were how do I put it in words? It was honestly just, I know there's been some, you know, trials, tribulations I've been through, and knowing that there is that thing when you know you have that support system, it kind of allows you to know, like, okay, I could do this and I could fall on my face, but I'm going to take the risk because I know I need to take the risk. And when you have that little bit of support, you know, coming from whoever, but for me, my mom and dad, it allows you to kind of really pursue it. And I'm still pursuing this and, you know, really trying to reach my ultimate goal and, you know, live my dreams. And so I think my mom and dad have been by far, you know, supporting me. never. People ask, "What do your mom and dad feel?" When I was first getting into it, and I'm like, they know me so well that they just say, "All right, Chris, just do your best." Because if you try to talk me out of something that I'm set on, I'm gonna double down and I'm gonna go against it. So
There
my
you go.
parents know me well. They go, "Yeah, we support Chris, and we just know whatever he does, he goes all in." So we just want him to do his best. But yeah, so definitely my parents, just because when you have, like I said, that background and that support system, it does allow you to kind of do it and be a little bit more free, I guess, out there.
With parents, it's always a question. Like, are they front row parents watching and everything, or are they like in the back going like this, like I don't want to see it type of parents?
And my dad was my father passed away last year, but my dad was definitely a front row parent for sure. Like after my fight, when I fought Jose Delgado in at UFL, and my dad went and like after the fight was like, oh yeah, and talked to the kid's family. Like he was just that kind of like, oh man, your nephew, or it was his aunts and uncles, whoever he was talking to, but Delgado's family, and it was in his hometown. My dad went and talked to the whole family, like, hey man, your nephew's tough. That was an awesome fight. Da, da, da. Like no fear of it, no issue. Just goes and talks to people. That was my dad, and maybe my mom's a little bit more, squinty eyes, squinty eyes and reserved. Because I am her oldest baby out there fighting in a cage. So there's that.
There you go. You say Jose Delgado, UFC guy, Dana. You listening?
Yeah.
You beat him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. First meal after a victory.
Oh man, just crazy carbs for sure. Yeah, dude. I'm a big that's like I said, that week after I normally will go and let loose a little bit. Honestly, I'll probably have a steak 4 out of the 7 days of that next week, and then carb it at night like a little fat kid. And then normally get sick around that week out. Normally that Friday I start to feel sick because I've been eating like shit, or excuse my language, not eating well. And then I go, okay, that's enough. That's disgusting. I feel disgusting. I look disgusting. But normally I have a 5-day bender of carbs and throw some sugars in there, and then I get sick of being a fat boy, and then it's back to clean eating.
Do you get
carbs?
Do you get Patty Pimblett big or no?
Hell no, no way. No, I'm not that bad. No shot. I'll get to where I'm honestly, maybe it's a vanity thing where I just can't see how my stomach looks, and I'm like, oh, that's gross. I'm like maybe a little bit vain. So that's all it takes. No way, I don't get that big. I don't have that in me. Thank God.
There you go. Right. Favorite combat sports athlete of all time?
Ooh, that's good. I got it, man. See, I don't know if I have a one favorite, because I've said this before. Someone's asked me. I like more like an archetype of a type of dude, like real strong, silent, masculine, savage is kind of like, I'm like, that's what I like. So on the way to the gym today, I was actually watching a little Fedor breakdown. So it could be, like the Fedor where guys are in his face and he just no emotion, and then goes out there and just annihilates the guy, wins, no emotion. The Pereira, the Fedor, the Yuri, I like that. Randy Couture, he was one of my guys back then. My dad actually, I'll say Randy's up there, just because when I was in 5th grade, my dad, for my 5th grade class graduation, everyone was going like, oh, we're going to go on go see a baseball game, or they're going to go on a little beach vacation. And my dad was like, I got you me and you tickets to UFC 49, because he knew I liked Randy Couture. And it was UFC 49, Randy Couture, Vitor Belfort. So that was my first live UFC event. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is it. And I saw Randy beat up Vitor Belfort, and I was like, yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy. So I'll put Randy up there just because I've seen him live and in person. I'm like, yeah, Captain America, baby. Love it.
Dude, UFC 49, one of the I think one of the last events they had at the MGM too. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, I was at the MGM, 100%. Chuck was on the card. Yep. Randy was on the card. Nick Diaz was on the card. Carl Parisian was on the card. Tom, it was actually, when you look back in like MMA Hall of Fame, a lot of studs were on that card, and I was getting out of 5th grade, going into 6th, and my dad was like, all right, my son's kind of into this stuff. You want to go see the fights? And I'm like, hell yeah. And then I remember being like, looking around the arena and kind of seeing, I'm like, there's not really any kids here. It's all grown men and kind of scary looking people. And then I'm in 5th grade, and my dad's like, if you're into this, let's go check it out. So like I said, I had good parents. They're very supportive of my endeavors, even if they didn't look maybe appropriate at the time.
There you go, man. All right. Hey, May 9th against Javier Reyes at LFA 208 in the main event, ladies and gentlemen. What can fans expect from you?
Technical brutality, a high pressure pace, some good violence, and nonstop action for however long it takes. And I bet you he's going to say the same thing. So, we're going to get it cracking. No doubt about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, must watch television on Friday night, May 9th, folks. From Santa Cruz, California, it's LFA 208. Tickets available at LFA.com through Ticketmaster, broadcasting live on UFC Fight Pass. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Mecate, thanks for the time, man.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you.